Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Speedrun Insider All Stars. My name is CJ, it's all good. Thank you so much for joining me this week as you do every week. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your neighbors, share with your neighbors' kids. They have little fingers, they have a hard time pushing the buttons. This is an episode of our All-Star series where we take a guest that had previously appeared on the show as voted by you, the listeners. And I'm going to give a preamble before I introduce my guest for today. Really early episode. If it's not the second or third episode, it's really early on when we were recording these. And it's been, not that it was unexpected, because I had a fantastic time talking with him, but the story that was told at the end has endured longer than probably any one story that has ever been told on the podcast. It is probably the one that people remember the most. It's probably the one that gets brought up the most. It is probably the one that endures in everyone's memories. And so, while I was a little surprised that you won the fan poll because you beat out some heavy hitters, it is my pleasure to introduce to you today the grandfather, because you're getting a little older and you have a beard, of Fable speedrunning. He's got to catch a train. He just doesn't know when it is. But he's here right now with me today. His name is Etem. What's going on, bud?
Hey, CJ. Yeah. Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for inviting me back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly it went down so well the first time that they dared to allow me back in the room.
I think that everyone has a fondness for those very early episodes.
Yeah, it sets the law, you know. The stories I tell are now part of the Speed Docs wider universe.
You've become part of our metaverse.
Yeah. Oh no, we need to
talk. You know, I was thinking about this earlier, but you have a beard now.
That is indeed true.
Yeah, and I'm like, I couldn't picture it until I saw it, that you would have a beard.
Yeah.
Like, I saw you streaming with one, and I'm like, oh my god. It's like, have you been shaving this whole time, or did your crop suddenly start to grow?
No. So like, because I am half Middle Eastern, my facial hair just grows at an absurd rate, and throughout lockdown, somehow I'd been very sensible about it. But then I think it was in August, I decided, you know what? Let's just see what happens. And yeah, here we are now, and it's quite all right. I don't mind it. I've only had a beard like this one other time in, I think, 2017, and I looked like a discount Wolverine, so I don't think there are any pictures of that, and thank God there isn't. It lasted about 6 months, but I was happy when it was gone. This one I'm content with.
I have a beard, for those that don't know, that haven't seen me. And it's sort of red. Like, that's probably the worst thing that I can say about my beard, is that my hair is a dark brown, but my beard is red. So,
hey, listen, I don't hold that against you.
Hey, well, I'm glad. I'm glad you're very tolerant. You're very, whatever. I say the worst thing about the beard, well, one, I'm fine with it totally until it starts interfering with my ability to sleep.
I don't think it's... Go ahead.
Once it gets to the point where I'm like, it gets sweaty under there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once we get to the point where we're insulating the insulation, as some of you also may know, I am a large individual, which means I'm well insulated. Once we start putting a hat on a hat there, then it gets like there needs to be some irrigation. Two, I hate when the mustache starts interfering with my ability to eat anything. That's when I get the scissors out. So those are my two gripes about facial hair as we enter into the barbershop portion of the Speedrun Insider podcast.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with the second one. The first one, less so. I'd say the more annoying thing is, like, if you get out of the shower and then you need to, like, towel dry your face instead of it just being magically dry, you know.
It does
But,
absorb.
yeah, but that will be for the barbershop quartet, I guess.
Well, mine grows pretty fast too, but I think as a cultural, maybe a not to say this in a weird way, maybe as a racial difference, I go Duck Dynasty with my
Oh,
beard, right? Like
yeah.
mine, that's how mine grows.
Hmm.
You know, yours might grow a I don't have another analog for it. You could complete my analogy by jumping in with one.
I mean, mine doesn't grow as fully as yours. You know, there's like a little gap in between like my mustache and my beard, which is quite frustrating. Otherwise, I'd be very happy with it.
I'll tell
Uh,
you what. I'll tell you what. Mine did the same thing for a long time. You know what the secret is?
was that?
Eventually, the hair above it will grow long enough and grow over, like a comb
Oh,
over.
yeah. See, I've noticed this, but then it kind of goes out. It sort of like starts twirling, and that's
Yes,
when
it's you
yeah,
got to tame it. You have to tame it.
yeah. I will make sure to tame my face going forward in the future.
I'm telling you, it really does happen.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
I have to taking notes.
And get some beard balm.
Beard bomb. I think I'd get
Yeah.
in trouble if I had one of those. I'll be honest.
Well, you'd be taking a train to the U.S. You wouldn't be flying. No, like lip balm. What's
Oh, right. Sorry, the accent. Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
my
hold
accent.
on a second there, buddy. Yeah, no. I know we do have some beard oil somewhere. Annoyingly, I think last year I had like some beard oil and stuff that I got, and I gave it to my brother because he has a beard as well. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to use this. Have this. And now I'm thinking, cool, I could really use that right about now. But I'll be
I
a big boy
figured.
and go out and get some.
See. I in my mind, as a like a thinking brain kind of person that I am, I knew
Mhm.
that you had a brother, but I didn't know that you had a brother. Right?
In fact, I have two.
You have two brothers.
I have two brothers.
Are you the youngest, the middle,
I
or the
am indeed
oldest?
the youngest.
That kind of clicks. That clicks a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's all right. We're
Are
not at each other's throats. We're all on good terms. So just
are
to
you, are they
clarify.
dramatically older than you, or are you guys like similar aged?
Yes, one is 3 years older. The other one is 13 years older. So a bit of a jump.
Mm-hmm.
But we all get along really well. There's no problems. This is not the Speed Docs family support.
This is the Jerry Springer show.
Or Jeremy Carver here in the UK.
I was gonna ask you what the UK equivalent.
That show got canned last year, I think, or the year before. Yeah, I think something happened to one of the guests on the show, and then they put it on hiatus, and now it's just never come back. Probably for the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think that show serves like a really I think that genre of show serves a really weird cultural purpose.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like when you see the kid in the restaurant having a meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
And you're eating dinner with your kids or a kid, and you're like, you know, all right, things could be worse. And right, the kid, it's not necessarily their fault, but like it's sort of like, okay, you can look at something else and be like, God, my life is in a better place than whatever possessed them to have this really crazy problem.
Yeah.
But whatever possessed them to go on television about it.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is like it goes between they knew what they was, I guess to some extent they knew what they were signing up for when they appeared on the show, but then on the flip side it's also like you basically watch it to feel better about yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that weird thing, and I guess maybe people have false understanding of what the show's about or what happens when you go on and what happens afterwards. I don't know. I've not been on it, thankfully, but
well, it's funny because my brother is 17 years older than I am, and I have half siblings and step siblings and whatever. We don't classify them that way, but just for the purposes of when did my mother give birth, My elder sister is 6 years older than me.
Right,
So,
yeah, okay. I
yeah.
guess to be fair, the one who's 13 years older is a step sibling, but I have never called him
Yeah, same
step
thing.
sibling. It's just he is just my brother, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's an important thing that my family did when we started putting this whole thing together, is that my mom and my stepdad came and were like, there are no steps and there are no halves in this house. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, we're going to make this work, and it's going to be hard and it's going to be weird, but the thing that's going to divide us or keep us apart isn't going to be how we got here. It's going to be what we do going forward. And I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
really good message.
Yeah, because like at the end, like, because when you say like, oh, stepbrother, stepsister, it's almost like putting asterisk on it. It's kind of like, yeah, it makes the whole thing seem strange to me. Like I'd be weird saying, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We were talking about Jerry Springer before. There's a really interesting example. It was viral, but it was viral like 10 years ago.
Oh
And I
boy.
actually saw this on Attack of the Show, if you remember that one, on the G4 network, the game channel.
I never watched G4, but hit me. I do have some ancient memes stored in my memory. So
As the grandfather of Fable speedrunning, I would expect nothing less. So there was a show. It's like a local version of Cops for
right.
this area, and it was called County Law. Okay,
Mhm.
and it was this like locally broadcast show, and it's like Cops, right? I don't know if you have a UK equivalent or if you're familiar
Yeah,
with the
no, I
format.
know what Cops is. So
Yeah.
yeah, carry on.
So for those of you that are listening that might not know, in the US there's a show called Cops, and the show's premise is that you follow cops, they respond to calls. It's kind of like with the body cam footage, or sometimes there's a crew, right? And they just respond to incidents, and the funny ones or the notable ones get put on television. So there's a county law. It's a show. It's basically cops, and they go to this woman's house to arrest her, and her older sister, instead of being like the trashy, like cursing at them or making a scene or running away, she goes, "That's a TV person?" Like, yeah, you're gonna be on TV. What show? County Law. County Law. County Law. County Law. County Law. County Law. Her sister's getting arrested and putting in the back of a car, and she's like, "Shut up!" And she's like, "I'll be on County Law. County Law. County Law." The whole time. No, she's just screaming. And then she goes outside. She's running around. She's this big lady. She's running around. County Law. County Law. And like, that is her reaction to her sister being shoved into a police car. Her sister being arrested. Her mind is just like, I'm going to be on TV. County Law. County Law.
It's like she got stuck in a loop. Like
right? That's the Jerry Springer effect, though. That's like I'm going to be trashy, but I'm going to be it on television.
Yeah. And it's like, you probably come off and it's like, oh, you know what? That kind of just wasn't worth it at all.
I don't think that woman had that salient moment afterwards.
maybe she's still saying county law in
to this day. I gotta find that video.
Yeah, I don't remember it. This must have been a localized meme.
But are there memes that you think are localized exclusively to the UK?
Yes, actually, 100%. I can think of. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Ronnie Pickering.
No,
it was like some guy who thought he was a local star getting like stopped at the traffic lights. He's like, you know who I am? I'm Ronnie Pickering or something. It's a bit of a meme here. That's one of them. That's just one off the top of my head, and like nobody in the US probably has any clue. But you ask people in the UK, and they'll probably know who you're talking about, or they might not, and I'm just a crazy person. It could go either way, really.
I have found the county law video.
All right, let me give this.
Watch this really quick.
Oh dear me. Oh yeah, she's really just going for it.
Yeah, you thought I was kidding.
I don't know. It's not that I didn't disbelieve you. It's just like, oh well, here it is, and I look at the upload date, and it's 12 years ago, coming up to 13.
It's 2009. I was filmed in 08.
Yeah, because this is 350. So this video is approaching 14 years old.
It's funny because, like, you know, there was no exaggeration in that moment, right? There's no exaggeration. It's literally like she is sitting there just saying county law. Like, that's all she's doing. And she's so excited, and the cops are egging her on too.
Yeah. I would. Why wouldn't you? It's good content, you know?
Yeah. So pivoting from county law and trash TV and what's his name? Ronnie Pickering, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
Let's talk a little bit about, like, you know, the last year or so. Well, I think it's interesting that we recorded in September of 2020. We recorded that episode, or August.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, maybe it was July? I can't remember.
Yeah. It's been a year, at least. And it's interesting to come back to it, like, a little over 15 months later, and to think, like, okay, we were kind of bummed out. There wasn't an SGDQ. Although I don't know if you were going to go to SGDQ after your tumultuous journey to and from AGDQ.
It was a bit up in the air.
A little bit. ESA is coming up, which is going to be in person. But there hasn't been a GDQ since the one that you and I both went to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, good.
Yeah, we kind of lucked out that it was just before everything kicked off. Like, we went start of January, it's like, there's a strange thing going on in China right now. How unusual. And then we all went about our lives, and then 2 months later it all hit us, and we kind of like, we attended what was probably the last in-person speedrunning event, like the last big in-person speedrunning event.
Think about this, right? This blew my mind. We were all worried about the end of the world at that GDQ.
Yes, because it was that the Iran thing.
Yes, the nuclear bomb thing. Right?
Yes.
We were going to get nuked off the face of the earth, and it had nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah, it was...
That was the meme.
That happened.
That's
like
insane.
The day before I flew, and I was like, are they going to just like screw up my travel? And it was fine, but then we were like all there, and it's like, is this a family show, can I ask?
Yeah, no, you can just say whatever you want.
Okay, I was gonna be like, is shit gonna hit the fan while I'm here? Am I just gonna be like, am I dead? No. Yeah, it was just like that. It was only when we bring it up, because it was like that just got so overshadowed. Like, that is just like the smallest of footnotes in things that happen in 2020 by comparison to the big global event, you know?
It gets dwarfed it was like, it's a Trump kind of thing that happened too, right? Because he was like,
yeah, of course,
the star of that show. But like, it is completely overlooked because it was the beginning of 2020. Like,
yeah,
I just had to sit here and really think about it. But also, like, 2020, right? Like, that's the year we did, you know, the first SStat. And that's the year that we did ICA-Aid, which was right before, it was the whatever before SStat. Then we had Launch Party, and we've done SStat 2021. We've done 3 events. Basically, the only reason we did online events is because there wasn't a GDQ. I can't imagine. Well, we would have done ICA-Aid. That was different. But the only reason that we did online events is, you know, we had the time.
Yeah, and I guess for
crazy.
For stuff like ICA-Aid, that would have been a very different event had you have not built that framework of SStat in 2020. Like, that set the... Or was it the other way around, maybe?
It was the other way around, yeah.
Ignore me.
You were close though.
Yeah. It was build up to SStat though. It would have been, I guess, Aid would have been, you did that and then it was sort of nothing, or until the next GDQ or ESA or whatever. Whereas that was almost like a lead into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, there's this funny thing. I saw someone was like, "Oh, I've saved so much money from not going to GDQ," and I'm like, "Listen, this is like when you think you're gonna quit smoking, and if you ask anyone that ever quit smoking, and you're like, I'm gonna save so much money because I'm not spending all this money on cigarettes,' you have no idea where the money goes. You don't end up with more money in your account. The money just goes somewhere else.
Yeah,
Like,
it falls into the black hole of things that I do now that I don't smoke. For clarification, I do not, but I know what you mean about the like. It just like it sort of funnels itself into other things to the point where it's just almost disguised. It's just gone.
yeah. Like the week that if you bought a video game or whatever out of your paycheck and you're like, okay, I have $60 less. And the next week you're like, all right, I have $60 more. Somehow at the end of both of those, before you get your next check, you'll have the same amount of money. It doesn't really make sense if you just get into a rhythm. That's kind of how it works out for me anyway. I don't know where the money goes.
Yeah, I
also,
get you.
for the record, I do not smoke either.
Yeah, just to clear up the rumors that we've been hearing.
Yeah, the rumors of our smoky demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
And so, in general, I mean, are you gonna go to the next ESA?
I don't think the next year, say the one in winter, just because I'll probably have plans going on around that time. So the timings don't exactly line up, and plus the new variant, there's a big question mark on this event too. It might be fourth time unlucky because like let's be honest, when COVID first happened, everyone just thought, oh yeah, we'll push our event a couple of months back and we'll be fine by September. Didn't happen. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll push it into the new, we'll just cancel it, we'll do it next year, call it a loss. Didn't happen. So I could fully expect this to just happen again because of the new variant. But it could also go ahead now we have stuff like the vaccination program and like just oversight over things, being able to test. It was a dark and scary time in the start of 2020, you know, the start of the thingy. But yeah, it'll be good. I'll be very curious to see. I think I'll probably watch it from a distance to see how it's handled and what happens. Especially if it turns into a super spreader event. I imagine at least one person at that event will test positive. Is my you can frame this and see what happens in February. But I'm definitely interested to go in the middle of the year, so ESA summer in July. That'll be good.
So I'm interested in going to the next GDQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go to ESA because, no offense to Ednal, who I know is an avid listener of the show, I'm not going to go to ESA because I'm not riding in no plane for no 10 hours or whatever it's going to take for me to get over there. I
scared you sufficiently on that one.
Yeah, of course. Also, I have a hard time going to the bathroom outside of my own home. There's no way I'm going to the bathroom on a plane. No way, no how. So am I going to also fast before I go on the plane? It's like sun up to sundown. It's like, I don't know. Is the move to be on the plane during the day or to be on the plane during the night? Also, jet lag for that level, I don't know what's going to happen to me and my brain. So, for many reasons, I'm not going to ESA. Deep breath. But now, let's talk about why I'm not going to GDQ. I won't go to GDQ unless it's in a state that will allow for a masking mandate for an event and to have received either the vaccine or to receive a negative test within X amount of days. Also, if I am GDQ, I am going. I don't know how you do it. I don't know what the logistics are. I don't care what the logistics are. Go and buy a fucking dumpster full of COVID tests.
Yeah,
and have everybody really test negative before they enter the area for the day. Just have a station. You know, go get a couple of retired nurses. Go kick them a few dollars. You already have a cop. You already have a nurse, right? Just get like 4 or 5 of them, and you gotta test negative when you walk onto the floor for the first time of the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because lateral flow tests, which are like the ones that you get the results for in like 30 minutes or whatever, because they're really common here. They're becoming a lot more accessible in the US. So yeah, that sounds like it sounds drastic, but it's also necessary, you know, because the last thing you want to do is have the event go ahead and then have to be canned mid-event, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, like you think about how much it would cost to like take that all up, but you imagine the cost and disruption if we just like the amount of cases is going up. We need to can this whole event halfway through, you know, people who have traveled thousands of miles and are now no longer able to attend, you know.
Yeah. And like I'm saying that, and again, I don't know the logistics, I don't know the deal.
Yeah,
I know that the first GDQ to come back is going to be a wild party.
yeah.
These people have been in their house for too long.
Mm-hmm.
They are gonna go buck wild.
Yeah, this
If
is like
you-
the place where repressed nerds go to party, I know, right? So
Yeah.
like this is their one freedom.
This like the nerds have been edged. They are the jack in the box, and the crank has slowly been turning, and it's right at the end of the jingle. But like one more quarter turn is needed for this jack to go wham outside the box.
I'm glad you
So-
made a safe for work analogy there. I'm very thankful.
Hey, listen, we do. I don't know if children listen, but if they do, I want them to understand. I did tell the people in the beginning to tell their neighbors' kids. So, like, the partying is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I, personally, am not going to let anybody party in my room. I am probably, if I am going to an area where there will be a party happening, like, you remember how we took over Cece's room.
Yes.
I took a
became
picture
the
with
party room.
I took a picture of myself with everybody in that room. I checked my camera to see how many photos there were. There were 24 people in that room at one point.
Yeah, thinking about that now, like when you look at an old video, people just like crammed in like sardines, you're just like, ugh, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. And we were crammed in like sardines, and I had one of the only chairs. And it it was my throne upon which I told stories and entertained the court.
And wore
Right.
a KFC bucket on your head.
No. It was the fireball bucket.
Fireball, sorry, please forgive me.
One is an obese thing. The other one's an alcoholic thing.
Hey, it could have been someone else's bucket of chicken, you know?
It could. There's this video series which I find so cathartic. I want to know if you've seen it. It's the like they'll have like the guy in the UK and the guy in the US, and they'll order everything on the menu from like McDonald's or whatever, and then they compare. It's like, all right, this is the large for the UK, and this is the large for the US. It's
Oh, boy.
almost always a quantity higher of food. Sometimes the UK has different sizes though.
I have not seen that, but you have my attention.
I gotta find it now. The one that always gets me is how big the drinks are.
Yeah. I think I was careful with that, and I made sure to get a small drink every time because it's like you give me like I've got a can of Coke Zero on my desk, which is 330 milliliters. I don't know how much that is in freedom units, but
So
that
I have
is more than enough for me.
I have a can of Diet Coke on my desk. It is 355 milliliters.
Yeah.
So in freedom units, by the way, it's 12 fluid ounces.
That makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. Don't lie to me. Here's the video. You can watch this after. I think it's super cathartic, right? Because it's just like, oh, they're just looking at this food and they're giving it a bite, right?
Yeah.
And I will say that I'm always intrigued because, like, basically, you'll have like a large,
Mm-hmm.
and there was one restaurant, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been like Wendy's or Burger King, but your large was smaller than the kids' cup.
Oh. See,
Yeah.
just looking at the thumbnail, I can immediately tell which one is which, like which foods are which, but the people look like the other way around. Like the one on the left, I thought would have been the guy from the US, and the one on the right would have been the one from the UK. But I'm apparently wrong. It seems like a UK thing to like wear.
The guy on the right is fucking. He's one of these crazy dudes, though. Like the silver hair. He's got the button-up shirt. The guy on the left kind of looks like put together. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, the guy on the right looks like the guy who would wear a Hawaiian t-shirt to work. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? And Hawaii's the U.S.
Okay, fair enough. We'll call it even. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy on the left is the UK guy.
Mm-hmm.
500 milliliters, dude. The large is the size of the small. They just disguise it. You guys have like squat cups. They're like tiny, but they're fat. And we have these tall, skinny cups.
Yeah, we don't. Our drinks are not really much of a big thing here. Like, yeah, as you say, our drinks are tiny by comparison. It's like you breathe in it too wrong and it's gone. And to be fair, I don't complain because like that's all I need. You do it and you're like, yeah, you know what, that was good enough. I don't need any more. At least for me.
You know, there's this other piece of it, right? Where it's like just excess. When you go to the movies, do they give you a garbage bag full of popcorn?
I have to make a confession, right? This is a
you don't go to the movies?
The last time I stepped foot in a theater was at least 15 years ago.
What the hell?
I've never been a movie person. In the last 5 years, I can probably count the movies I've seen on one hand, if that. The last decade, maybe two hands.
Okay, what was the last movie you saw in theaters?
I can't remember. It was so long ago.
So is it like you just don't want to sit still and watch something for 2 hours? Is it like you don't go to the movies?
I remember when I was younger, the fact that it was far too loud for me, you know?
Yeah.
It was a bit disorienting, and then I guess just since then, it's like, well, I've never wanted to go there again. And I've had no reason to. I don't watch a film, you know? I don't know. This must be what it's like for people who don't play video games, where you see something and go, oh, that looks kind of interesting, and then you never watch it. I've never sat down and thought, oh, that would be a good movie to watch.
Yeah. Okay. I guess so. I'm the opposite. I love movies. In the US, right? Like they will give you the large is like a bucket, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a bucket of corn. It's a lot of corn. It's a lot of popcorn. My old movie theater, because there used to be a chain here called Regal, and they moved out. Now we have like a smaller chain. But they used to have a large and they used to have a medium. And the medium was just a bag, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a friend who worked there. Her name was Amanda. She's a professor now at a university, so shout out to Amanda. But she told me that the large and the medium are the same size. And I said, no way. And she showed me a large bucket, right? And she showed me a medium bag, and I'm like, it's crazy, right? So she fills up the large bucket, right? Then she poured the contents of it into the medium bag. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's a different shape, isn't it?
So there's a false bottom.
Oh.
But who looks in the bucket at the bottom, right?
Well, you can't because it's dark, you know?
Yeah, well, they take the bucket, they fill it for you, and then what do? Right?
Yeah. Jeez.
So, false bottom.
That sounds like the name of a band, to be honest. False bottom.
If you told me you didn't like going to concerts because they were too loud, I would believe you right now.
No, I'm the opposite. I love going. I've got a concert t-shirt on right now. So
Right? Best show you've ever gone to.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay.
You can give me your Mount Rushmore if you'd prefer. Your top
I can
4.
give it a few Mount Rushmores. So I'm going to out myself as a prog fan right now. So I'd say top 3. 2017 or 2018. I think it was 2018 at Hyde Park. I went to see Roger Waters of Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Which was amazing because that's like a full like audio visual experience, you know. So like I'm not sure if you're familiar with Pink Floyd, but they have an
Yep.
album called Animals,
Mhm.
with like the Battersea Power Station, and halfway through or like at the start of the second set, like the screens come up with some writing, and then next to the stage, a replica of the front of Battersea Power Station starts rising up, and then they start playing like part of the album, which was insane. And then like at the end, they do like a big light prism over the audience with like the dark side of the moon, like, you know, the prism thing that everyone knows about. That was really good. Flipping over to the other side, there was in 2019, I went to go see King Crimson, which is another prog band, and they're the exact opposite in that they do zero announcements. They come on stage all suited and booted and everything. And this is like the era of the band where they play like all eras, like there's no stone unturned sort of thing. There's zero lighting apart from a single lighting change at the end. There's no photography. Like they say, if you take photography, you'll leave. And I know this firsthand because in the first song, someone tried doing flash photography, and the guitarist, who's like the leader of the band, just stopped and just pointed at them and shone a spotlight on them, and that was absolutely terrifying just to witness, let alone.
Mhm.
And then third one is probably Phil Collins in I've seen him twice in 2004 or 2017. That was really good. Just because I'm a big Phil Collins fan, I have to admit.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good 3 shows, I gotta say. You know, I can't knock you for any of those.
Yeah, had circumstances been different, I would have had a fourth one, which would be Genesis, which is my favorite band of all time, which I was going to see in November, and then 3 days before, several members of the band tested positive, so now it's been pushed back to March. So I would have had a happy story to tell you, but unfortunately I have to wait till March to find out.
So we have like this small theater in my town. It's really old.
Yeah.
But it because of its historicalness, it gets some surprisingly large acts, right?
Yeah.
Like, but they're always acts that are on the downturn. So
Mhm.
like we got the Beach Boys in 2018.
Right, yeah, I get
Right?
you.
So we got Foreigner in 2016. So it's
Mhm.
like Foreigner, right? But you know what? They played Cold as Ice and they blew the doors off the place.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, all right, yeah, you got it.
I mean, that's the thing, is that a lot of the bands I follow are from the 70s, and there's definitely a difference between, I guess, being a legacy act, like, I guess, like a Vegas act, you know what I mean? Where you go there to see them play that one song, and then they're kind of just background music for the rest of it, versus almost like a celebration sort of thing of your career. And there's definitely a difference between them. Sometimes you go there and it's like almost like a going through the motions, or like they're playing for the sake of playing, and sometimes they really go for it. So yeah.
You always know it's hard. Like, you know that they know what they're there to do when they'll put out like a new album, but they don't play off it, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody here wants to hear the new stuff. They want to hear Jukebox Hero 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So my favorite band went there, and I was able to go and see them play in a venue that maybe seats 500 people.
Right.
It was Coed in Cambria.
Ooh.
Oh my god, loved it. The drummer's from my town. It was great. And Claudio, does his thing, and he was like, I spent a lot of my time here as a kid, so this is kind of like my second home. And then he starts playing Welcome Home, and the fucking place explodes. But it's also not a place you'd think like a band like that would play, because
Yeah, exactly.
it's like theater seating, right? There are seats that are bolted to the floor.
Yeah. I mean, that's sometimes the best shows from a band, is like where they go to like some 500 person bed, like they'll go 20,000, 10,000, and they'll play a show to like 500 people, which will be their best show, sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. They played Domino the Destitute for the first time to start off the tour. Like, it was a long tour, and our town was the first name on it. It was a fucking fantastic experience. The only person that I can say has my sister has been to the best show that I've ever heard of.
Mm-hmm.
In a club that I think, again, it's a small club. It holds maybe like 1,000 people, but most of that is standing room only. And a good chunk of that space is the circle pit area, the mosh pit. And so it was Head Automatica, which is a band that had a few songs, right?
Yeah.
They opened for Coheed and Cambria, who did a full set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who opened for Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh.
And I'm like, God damn,
What?
that's a great show.
Yeah, that's like one of those like stacked lineups that you hear about in like, oh yeah, in like 1960s, like 3 giant bands that like sell out 20k seaters, all just like shared a bill at like a 500 person venue.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, geez, it's like the dream.
Yeah. So like, I think A7X had just put out City of Evil,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Coheed would have been like, I don't know that they would have put out their. Hang on, we're looking.
Yep.
They had just put out Good Apollo 4. So,
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness.
Yeah. I think actually, to be honest, the one thing that will separate a celebration act from a legacy act is when a band has no original member. It's like the no original member, the Ship of Theseus band, you know?
Oh, yeah. Where it's just like, it goes out to sea, they keep repairing it, it comes back into port, but all the parts have been replaced.
Yeah, or like there's like one original member and then like 3 people who joined in like 2016.
Do you ever think it's weird when like a band's longest tenured member is not a founder of the band?
I mean, Yes exists. I know I have to deal with Yes because I love Yes, but their recent live act is basically the vehicle of the guitarist who is not an original member. He's probably the most well known of the guitarists in the band, but he's also not an original member. And at one point there was 2 bands calling themselves Yes because of weird copyright reasons, and one of them was just like the one who wasn't actually Yes was vastly better than the one who had the like legal right to the Yes name. I saw
That's
both in the
awful.
same year, and it was like one of these is just distinctly better than the other one.
I mean, as far as Yes goes, I can't imagine the bar is that high, right? To be like the best Yes band.
I mean, to be honest, Yes are really good, especially back in their heyday. They were really good. It's more just the fact that like one of them is a Ship of Theseus, and then the other one is just like 3 old members of the band who enjoyed playing with each other, and they just decide to go out and tour. And yeah,
They should call themselves No.
yeah. Well, I know because there's been several times with Yes has a long and weird history, and I know that I think when there was like a group of people from Yes who wanted to make their own band, I think the names they considered were The Affirmative, No, and I think Maybe as well. I think in the end they just settled for their names, all just like abbreviated. But yeah, it would be funny just to see like Yes and No playing in the same town on the same night.
And yes, followed by No, playing the same set, only better.
Yeah.
You know, this Turbo conversation has kind of been active recently.
Yeah, I've seen that come up more recently because it's sort of like it swells up and then it sort of dies down a bit and then it swells up again, but each time it sort of swells a little bit more and the tide turns a little bit more in each time.
Well, I think that definitely, as you're saying, that people get emboldened the more that they're pushed on some of these things. So, like, I don't know that anybody at the start of the first argument about it was so firmly entrenched and had their heels dug in as some people might be right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, even now, I'm not particularly fussed with it, but I've sort of made I've set my spot in the sand. But I guess it's a thing of like, if there was some crazy thing, my mind could be changed.
So where are you? Where's your...
Oh, I'm not telling you that. No.
Okay.
You have to bring me on for another episode for me to tell you that one.
Okay, there you go.
No. So obviously this has been as a grandfather of Fable, as you put it. I've had to consider this as well for the sake of the community. And while officially there's not a verdict, we've had a consideration. So for those of you who don't know, in Fable speedrunning, your primary method of movement that you sort of base everything around is rolling rather than running. Rather than you holding right click and WASD, you'll press the R key or the middle mouse button or whatever key to roll, and you'll just keep doing that throughout the run to move. As you can imagine, pressing R for an hour and a half minimum for however many runs you do is not the best. And I know, because I've had to stop because of my wrist has been playing up. So I'm just like, you know what? Probably not a good idea. So the only reason we didn't set something earlier was basically that, well, hang on a minute. Like, because we would like set things in like Logitech gaming software and stuff. But in Logitech, because we would say, look, if we could set like the roll button to the scroll wheel, like you would see in like Half-Life 2, where you would set the scroll wheel to jump or whatever, that'd be perfect and we would all be happy. But because Logitech gaming software doesn't, we just had no way of doing this without like doing some fancy schmancy stuff. So it just kind of like went to the wayside. But we said if it was a thing, we would allow it. And now, thankfully, one of the community members of this, she has made a perfectly working auto hotkey script, which allows you to scroll down and allow you to roll. And we're just all happy with that, you know? And that's just like, it doesn't do anything that you can't already do. Like spamming for an hour and a half isn't a skill. It just eliminates some of the headache, you know? There's no like, I've done this, so now I'm better. It's just you can now do this thing consistently without ruining your wrists for life, without getting the dreaded wanker's cramp.
Okay. That's so descriptive.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you, sort of thing? Like, I don't think anyone mind. Like, people probably have a strong opinion about it until they either try it out or hear a little bit more, and they're like, you know what? Actually, that makes sense. Obviously, turbo in itself is a little bit different, but I'm still a lot more on board with that than not, you know. I guess for older games, if you are just spamming, then there's no reason why not, you know. If you're doing something that destroys your wrist more, where you're having to press B like 5 times a second for several minutes, like, yeah, screw it. Why wouldn't you use turbo?
Yeah. You know, I saw someone's reaction to this, and it's my favorite reaction to this conversation.
Right.
And it was, I've heard all of the reasons that people have given me for not allowing turbo. I understand them, but I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair enough, because like, we've not even gotten into like the accessibility portion of it for like people who physically can't press R for an hour and a half or something like that. But it's just like a case of, well, if we allow it, if everyone's on the same playing field of they can use it or they cannot, because we've had some top runners who've said, yeah, I'm happy for it, I won't use it myself, but it's cool that it's there, sort of thing, which is like great.
Yeah, absolutely. I myself cannot mash. I can't do it. Like, I have stupid fingers. I can't do it.
I can't do it on a controller.
No, I can't do it on a controller. I can barely get my hand to do it for Mario Party, and that's like a 5 or 10 second burst, right?
Yeah.
Right? I can't mash consistently. And I play Pokemon Snap. You have to mash through text boxes. I am an inefficient masher. I have had everybody in that community try to teach me how to mash. It's not a teachable moment for me. It's like I physically can't do this moment. We've already had this in that community where we allow turbo for someone who asked us if they could use turbo. And I guess the first thing that you think of before you even think about it, right? Before you hear any of the arguments, before you do anything, the first thing I thought of was, no, you can't use turbo. What the hell? It's cheating. But then you think about it and you actually look into it and you hear the things, right? That's just your gut reaction. It's like, oh, this lets you go faster.
Yeah.
It doesn't let you go faster. It just removes the mashing. For Snap, I mean, now, the other thing, this is the unpleasant part of the nuanced conversation. There has to be basically an approved hardware list.
Yeah.
And you have to test it, and you have to see, okay, well, what's the result here? I mean, I don't think just letting everyone use turbo and like someone, basically, I think CC said this. You don't want turbo to become the meta. You don't want the world record to only be attainable with another controller, right?
Yeah.
So, just like, okay, set it to 20 hertz or set it to whatever the hertz setting is. Now you get into some of these off-brand, random, only released in, Portugal controllers. Okay, well, they have, like, a higher hertz setting than every other controller. It's like, okay, well, you can't use this one.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it does become arbitrary, but at some point you have, like, a line has to be put in the sand and just say, yeah, up to here. This, like, a point where, like, this is human attainable, but just...
Yeah. Hey, listen, you don't have to worry about the repetitive stress. You don't have to worry about mashing. We're solving that problem. If you want, you can use a turbo controller.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't do it in a way, I don't think, whatever. And I think, don't put them on different leaderboards, because I think that defeats the point, but have it as a variable. So you can see,
exactly.
turbo, no turbo. It doesn't make anyone more impressive or less impressive, just like, this time was achieved using turbo. Put it right in the list with everything else.
Yeah, I mean, turbo does not a good speedrunner make, I mean, the way we've handled it with Fable is just we say you can rebind whatever key to whatever you want, but it has to be one key or one input, one command,
Yeah.
Like you can't press a button to
hit all the buttons.
To do multiple commands. We actually did try I know Amethyst, she tried a auto hotkey command just to like try an autopilot, and even that just doesn't work. But even just putting that aside, we just say, look, one input, one command. It can be whatever one you want, but that's fine. Free scroll, no free scroll, go for it,
Yeah, I think let turbo in, but it's not as simple as just saying, like, there is no speedrun, council.
No.
You have to find out what works for everybody.
I'll be on the phone between galaxies.
And I think, honestly, the most, fair approach is to do it on a person-by-person basis. I mean, not every community is going to be able to do that, right? A small community can do that. You can, okay, this person's using this controller, and this is what they want permission to use, right?
Yeah.
Like, just, whatever. But I think that's the most fair approach, because then everyone gets to use hardware that they have. Instead of putting out, like, a list. I think unregulated turbo just makes a new meta, which is like, okay, Yeah,
exactly. It almost, like, reduces the... It does the inverse, where, like, it reduces the accessibility if you have to buy this one controller released in Brazil in 1994,
This is the nuanced conversation that Twitter can't have.
Oh, don't get me started.
This is the nuanced conversation that Twitter can't have. By making it so that anybody can use any controller that they want, any third-party controller that plugs into the machine, including one made today, right? A brand new third-party controller that they make today.
Yeah.
You are making it economically inaccessible, which you want to talk about the accessibility argument. There is no nuance. It's GDQ is inaccessible because it costs money to go there. Well, I guess a concert costs money to go. Is a concert inaccessible? Yes, they should stream it for free. That way, it's not discriminate. It's not economically, discriminative. It's like, That's an extreme conversation, right? But I have heard people tell me that GDQ is not accessible because it costs money to go and it's physically in the US. So the best solution is to make it online only, which is a conversation that only someone that hasn't been to it or isn't able to go would have, right?
Yeah, because otherwise, like, because for some people, GDQ is like an event rather than like the speedruns you watch, you know? Like,
Yeah.
because with AGDQ, like, online, it's great, and like the runs themselves are great, but it's just the runs, nothing else. Whereas if you was to ask probably anyone who went to AGDQ 2020, they wouldn't say that the runs were the, like, people don't go. I think this is the thing, is that a lot of people don't go to GDQ to watch runs, or sometimes even to do runs. Some people just go for the sake of going, or like to see their friends, or to, you know.
Yeah, and I think the argument also becomes undone because it's always been streamed for free. It's if the thing you care about is watching the runs, why do you care that me and Etem go and play, inertial drift?
Yeah. Did we play that?
No.
Damn it.
We could have, though.
Damn it. We had the technology and we didn't utilize it.
We played Tekken Tag Tournament too.
Oh boy.
I was taking people in there to stomp them out until I got to the professional Tekken player, and then I ran away like a little girl.
It's that middle ground of like being good enough to like trounce your friends, but then like when you play professionally, you just like get stomped.
Yeah, it's like I'm good enough to beat people that don't know how to play the game, but the second I play someone that knows how to play the game, I can't beat them.
Yeah.
So I think to just wrap up that previous conversation, because it is a serious one, and I just want to make sure that the hour points are clearly put out there. Like I am pro turbo. I think that it's just on communities to find the appropriate solution. And you don't want to create a scenario where now it's an economic burden on people, because a lot of people who speedrun stuff they already have access to, or they speedrun games that they've just had since they were a kid, right? So the second that you make an economic burden, you're putting this into a different level of not being accessible. However, like, you do have to make it. So just don't make it the meta, right? Make it so that people can be competitive. But
I think it's just like it comes down to, it should be done, but it should be done in a sensible way. Like the moderators, or like the admins or the moderators should be approaching it carefully, not just like opening the floodgate, but they should also be doing it, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, it's a nuanced conversation. And I think the perfect example is, I remember there was this YouTube channel, and they had a new member. The new member is a young black lady who's very talented. I'm just saying that because this is going to be important for the next part of the conversation.
Of course, yeah.
Her mic was too loud. She's not loud. Well, she is loud, but she was just audio unbalanced. That was my key point about it. There was a thread that said, hey, her audio is unbalanced compared to everybody else. It's an editing thing, right? It's an editing mistake. It's not her, right? It's not a comment on her, although she is a louder person. Just turn her audio down a little bit. But that thread had a few people that were like, yeah, we fucking hate racial slurs. And it's like, no. Then the company,
that's not where this is going.
Then then the YouTube channel reacted, and it was like, if you don't like it, then you can leave. It's like, no, all right, okay. We got off on the wrong foot. It's just an editing thing. And then someone posted a screenshot and was like, hey, see how her waveform is huge compared to everybody else's? That's what we're talking about. And like, yeah, it's because she's black. It's like, no. No, so it's like, I don't want to agree with this person. No, that's not it. So it's the same thing. It's the conversation. It's a conversation that requires nuance. You can't have it online. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, okay, it's like there should be some, just oversight, some selection. There has to be some kind of decision making that goes into controllers that you use. It's like, yeah, because Fuck the people that need this, right? If you can't mash, fuck them. It's like, no. I'm not with that guy. No, I want you to have turbo. We just have to find the solution that's right for us. It's like, yeah, because mashing is part of the experience. It's like, no.
Yeah, because you end up like, it's like, oh yes, you must enable turbo now or your community is toxic. It's like, hang on a second.
Yeah, hold on.
We do want to enable it, just shut up, give us some time. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. Is anyone in your community banging their hands on the table saying, I can't speedrun until you allow turbo? If there isn't, then you have the time to figure out the nuanced solution, right?
And I'll say something, you know what? The people who do tend to be the people who do one run and then just disappear off the face of the earth. I'll just throw that out there. I've had people complaining about stuff, and then they'll do like a single run, if that, and just like the people who talk about doing the runs the most are the people who never do runs.
Yeah, the people that have the biggest problem with speedrunning, big S speedrunning, the entire, Elder Council. I saw someone call like the Elder Council. I thought that was funny, right? Just like their speedrunning is the loose hobby that binds these separate communities together.
Yeah.
The actions of one do not depict or influence some of the other ones per se, right? It's just a matter of like, this is the thing that unites us, but we're all separate communities.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say there was probably a time where it wasn't, but
yeah,
as of right now, yeah, it's just I have no relation with the Super Mario Odyssey community. We fall under the same umbrella, but that's a damn big umbrella.
And it's a huge rejection. Like these separate communities don't want to be one conglomerate. If you want an example of that, look at how SRC has
I was just gonna say
bungled it. I mean, the complete misunderstanding of what, like, I'm sure, and I know that I know that there's a community on SRC. I know that there are some power forum users. I know that there are people who use SRC who that's how they interact with other people in speedrunning. I understand that. That is a limited sample size of where people are and how people interact with it, right?
Yeah, because the actual speedrunners are not on SRC. They go on there to verify runs, submit runs, view runs, but they're not there to... They're off doing runs or like in their own communities. And yeah, I was going to mention about SRC more than anything because they're trying to like centralize stuff and basically everyone is like, no, stop it. Bad.
Yeah, here's an article on how to speedrun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just silly, right? It's just like a total like not understanding of what, I don't know. It's just like a misunderstanding of your audience.
Yeah, it's like people who don't speedrun thinking they know what should be done about speedrunning, you know?
Yeah.
Me.
There are always people that come in and like, I'm not going to speak about a specific game, but I know this has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. Why don't you guys just do this? Well, you can't do that because you need this. No, I played this game 20 years ago. I remember that I distinctly did this. It's like, okay, go show us and then test it and show us how you did it. Nah, you guys should just allow this. You should allow this if, it's like,
yeah,
no.
I mean, we have the phrase, I'm pretty sure I stole it from somewhere, but we have the phrase in the Fable speedrunning server, which is just no vid, no did. It's like, you say you did a sub-hour run? No video? Didn't happen. Sorry.
Listen, I'm all for people being like, hey, I got this time, but I didn't record it. That's awesome, man. Good for you. Right? But if it's, hey, I got a 40-minute world record, and the world record right now is 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to see that, because how did you do it? I just did what Clean Sarah does and just did it faster. Yeah, right, except Clean didn't make 80 minutes of mistakes, so, that's where and we say no vid, no did in the history videos. I don't think that in terms of, like, getting started, that you have to film it.
Yeah.
I don't think in terms of getting started that it's important
it's more
you submit your time.
Like, outlandish claims require outlandish evidence, that doesn't quite work. But you catch my
Yeah.
code there.
Yeah, it's like, hey, listen, if you're gonna say something that like changes the circumstances of the game that we play, we want to know how you did it. And
Yeah.
it's that person that would come say, I got 30-minute time, boom. My favorite solution to this is Mario Kart.
Hmm.
You can submit a Mario Kart time to their leaderboards and not have a video until you get to a certain threshold.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, where is the point where it's like, all right, this is where the line of demarcation where people could, in theory, submit bogus times for clout. Right?
Yeah, there ain't no clout in 20th place Mario Kart.
No, it's more like with Mario Kart 8, it's more like, 800th place.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess to be clear, like, if there is, like, if you come in saying, I've just found a really cool thing, we don't just go like, no vid, no did, but it's more like if you tell us something, we'll want to see, like, how it's done. But then if you're being really coy about it, or really like, oh, I don't know, or, oh, my wife's son's boyfriend's cousin's second dog ate the videotape, we're gonna be like, well, just let us know when you do get a video of that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The people have waited. They want to hear the other Etem travel story.
Okay, so I guess also to add, and I didn't tell you at the time, but there has been two other travel stories which weren't by me, but someone very close to me, which I can also tell, which just go to show that I have some kind of cosmic alignment against me, or people
Okay.
that I know when it comes to travel. But yes, I had to think about which story it was, but I'm pretty sure I didn't tell you about the story of the way back. It's not quite as outlandish as the story to GDQ, but it's still just as like, of course this would happen to me.
Okay.
So yeah, just to set your expectations, it's nowhere near as wild. So what did I do? So on the way back, I made sure to book an exit row C. I learned from my mistakes of the flight too, and I'm like, I want to be able to stretch my legs until they're kicking the alarm,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna book an exit row seat, pay the extra 50 quid or whatever. It'll be great. So
You go window or aisle?
It was an aisle seat, but it was because it was at the exit row in the middle. It didn't matter. Like, I don't mind sitting by the window, but I also don't mind sitting by the aisle. But if the person next to me wants to get up, he can get up. He doesn't need to disturb me, and vice versa.
Right. Well, sometimes there's a middle,
Yeah. And again, yeah, I think there was only one person. It was either a 2-seater or 3 seats, and there was only 2 of us.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was a 2-seater. We'll go with that. So we'll rewind to the start of the flight. So before we even fly, so I probably slept about 6.5, 7 hours, which for me, we call that pretty not bad. But by the time it got to about 11:30, it felt like I'd not slept at all. Like, I'm not sure. The people there can probably tell you that I was falling asleep on the couch in the main lobby, waiting to leave at about 2:00. So this was an overnight. This was a red-eye flight, as they're called, I believe, where you fly overnight and then you land in the UK in the morning. So the idea is that you sleep on the plane and then you get there in the morning. You might be a bit tired, but at least you can sort of. It's the start of the day rather than the end. It's probably to help with jet lag or something. So get on the flight. The dude next to me is an older guy who, as I found out, is some sort of frequent flyer, because early on in the flight, the flight attendants gave him some fancy bottle of wine because it was his millionth air mile or something with them. So they gave him a fancy bottle of wine to say thank you, which is fine. That's fair enough. So even though I am tired, the sleep is not becometh me, as would be my luck. So sleep is proving to be quite difficult. So I thought, okay, I prepared for this because I charged my Switch. I downloaded the new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon demo. I can play that and it's going to be wonderful. I'm a little bit more awake than last time because I've not been up for 24 hours. So we'll be fine. I turn on my Switch and I'm not sure if you've probably seen the Switch, but when you have no battery and there's a little battery icon in the top left corner.
Right.
And yeah, that had indeed appeared. Looking back on it, even though I made sure to fully shut down my Switch before charging it, I guess at some point it turned itself on, or charging it turned itself on, or it pressed a button and switched itself on. So the battery was flat. The dream of that was gone. So
no.
the dream of, oh, I bought my battery bank and it plugs in, this will be fine, also fell apart when I realized even though it's a big 20,000 milliamp battery bank that I literally have in my hand right now, I guess it didn't have enough juice to power a Switch or actually charge a Switch. So the Switch never turned on. We'll say that. The Switch had gone to live off on the farm for this flight.
We know how much you love movies.
Yeah, the movies didn't happen. I think I put the blanket around me and just sat there listening to music. And at some point, and looking back on this, I don't know why I didn't kick off at the guy. So the guy next to me, who's won the fancy bottle of red wine or whatever wine it was, for the sake of this, I'm going to call it shitty wine because of what you'll see will happen.
Oh, no.
And he either knocked over a cup or just spilled it in his sleep, and it went all over my trousers. So now I am covered in wine. He didn't acknowledge it. I can't remember why, if he was asleep or if he was just not with us or what. But he just didn't acknowledge. He didn't say, sorry, there was nothing. So I had to go and dry off my sweatpants. So actually, I'm pretty sure it's the same pair I'm wearing now. This wasn't by design.
Reliving the moment.
Reliving the dream. I've got the battery bank. I've got the sweatpants. I've got the fact that I have to get up early tomorrow. It's all there. It's all happening again. Someone's going to come in and throw some wine on me. So yeah, I then had to endure the second half of the flight with being Mr. Wine Pants, or wine trousers if you're in the UK. So it was a little bit better than the last flight, but that's like saying pulling out 5 of your teeth is better than pulling out 10 of your teeth. You know, it's still
Sure.
a deeply unpleasant experience. So the flight lands. It lands a little bit early, probably about 7 a.m. Bear in mind, I have obviously not slept, and it is now approaching the no, I wouldn't say it's approaching the 24-hour mark. It's probably been about, doing the math, about 18 hours, but that was 18 hours considering I was tired in the morning, you know? So we're already not looking great. So get my luggage, that's all fine. Get that in good time. I find the train to take home. So I have to get 2 trains. So this is London transport for you. I have to get the train from Heathrow Airport to a big station. So you get the express train, which takes about 25 minutes. It's not bad. And then you get about a 50-minute train to get to homeland. So I remember taking the train, the one from Heathrow to the big station, and it was I can't remember what day it was. I could probably find out what day the 13th of January 2020 was. Oh, that was it. It was a Monday, which meant that I was traveling with the morning rush hour. So
okay. Yeah.
So there wasn't a seat, and I was deathly tired. So I had to just kind of mutter to someone in my incoherent state to ask them to sit down, which didn't help, but at least I was sitting down. And then I realized that I had to pee. Yeah. It's like the thing that happened before, but all over again. And I think what happened was, so I got to the big station and I tried to go use the bathroom and I just couldn't pee for the life of me. This was This was like performance anxiety, not being able to pee, you know? So I'm like, I don't think I'm in a good enough state to get the train home. So I call a cab. Oh no, what happened was, I think I took a train for part of the way, and then I got off the train to find to try and find a toilet in the station, which I couldn't find. And I'm like, oh dear, we are certainly in trouble here, because I am in desperate need of a piss, but no toilet. So then I'm like, well, I'm not getting back on the train. I'm gonna get a cab, and then worst case, I can just like run out the cab and go take a pee and apologize profusely. So I get a cab. It probably takes about 40 minutes. The estimate slowly goes up, probably by about 5 or 10 minutes, and that was the longest 10 minutes of my life. being in that cab, needing to pee, and not wanting to make a complete ass of myself, not wanting to end the trip to GDQ being Colonel P Pants. Good
Colonel
news.
is a stretch, you know.
Yeah,
it's a
Reverend.
Reverend.
We are in reverence of the fact that, to conclude it, I did not indeed pee my pants. I got home, I went to go use the bathroom, and I fell asleep at 9:30 in the morning and woke up at 6 p.m. and my sleep schedule was screwed up for a few days, but I wasn't working at the time, so it was all okay. But it was a perfect way to round off this debacle of an adventure, you know. I was in my home turf, literally, so I was fine.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, that was worth the wait.
That was worth the wait. Now, would you like to hear the story of the to and from of how my girlfriend traveled from the US to here and back?
Yeah.
So just to clarify, I checked with her. She is okay this story. She said go for it. So I am going to tell this story. So this happened in July of this year, so July 2021. So we'd known each other for about 8 months. We'd known each other several years more. So we was going to meet each other for the first time. She decided to come to London, and it was going to be wonderful. So, obviously, we are in, I'm not going to say uncertain or unprecedented times, because that's the most cliche thing I've heard about since March of 2020. But we are living in the times, let's say, which means you need to do a crap ton of tests before you fly. You need to have a negative test before you fly. Then when you land, you have to take a test after you've been here for 2 days. Then you need to take a test after you've been here for 8 days. And then if that comes back negative, then you're good to go. We also booked a thing where if you test negative on day 5, you can leave early, but you'll still need to take that day 8 test. That's just some like background for it. It's not completely relevant to the story. But just to have an idea, there's lots of testing going on. So the first thing that happens, bearing in mind this is my girlfriend's first long distance flight, the flight gets moved about a week in advance. The flight gets moved a day forward, which kind of like throws a bit of a wobbly into all of our plans, because suddenly she's arriving a day later. It might have even been a day earlier, I can't remember, but the flight changed basically a day. And the only advance notice she got was through an email, so she could have very easily missed that flight. So she gets the flight, she tests negative before she lands. She probably didn't get that much sleep. She said she got about 3 hours on the 8-hour flight, so she's doing way better than me already. You can tell this is not gonna go well. Okay. We also planned it, so we bought a UK phone. We bought a phone specifically that would work in the UK, and we bought a UK SIM card that's activated and ready to go. So rather than spending however much on US data in the UK, she can use UK data in the UK. Good Brexit UK data. Sorry, just had to throw that on. So she texts me to say she's landed. Great. And I said, let me know once you're through the passport gates or through security, and then we can travel and meet in the middle sort of thing. Great, no problem. So on that day, the e-passport gates, and I'm not sure if you've dealt with those, where you just basically scan your passport and you sort of look into a camera and then it says, off you go.
Okay.
The e-passport gates were not working that morning.
So now someone has to check the passport.
Yes. Heathrow Airport, for as good as they are, were woefully understaffed that morning. They had about 5 people around for not only her arriving flight, but all of the other inbound flights. I could probably find the text where she said, oh, the queue's not that bad. And then she realized it went around the corner.
Oh, no.
And then the queue for every flight arriving that day was here.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
This took several hours.
I imagine. Oh, and you can't leave the line.
You can't leave the line. Luckily, she was not in desire of any urinary requirements.
All right.
So she had to wait in line several hours after an 8-hour flight. I do not envy her. If I was her, I would be delirious, which I was. So I was then starting to make my way. Once she said, oh, I'm almost at the front, I started to make my way, and I was just sort of waiting outside the train station, waiting for the thumbs up to get on the train, because when you get on the train, you don't have any mobile signal. And then I get a text saying, I can't find my phone. And I'm like, wait, which phone? What's going on? He's like, I think I left the UK phone in the bathroom there, which I can no longer go back to. And it's like, oh, shit. Okay. So I'm trying to message her back, and I'm waiting there for a good 5 or 10 minutes, and then I get a text back saying, the phone has been found. And that is very ominous and cryptic. I'm like, is that you? And luckily, the person who found it was someone who worked at Heathrow.
Ah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good part of the story.
The phone is in at least safe hands. But now I have the slight issue in that I cannot contact my girlfriend to tell her this. I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's making her way. I have zero method of contacting her or knowing where she is, how she's doing, what's going on. And then I'm then also trying to liaise with this absolute saint of a man who works at Heathrow, trying to describe her and see if I can find her, or like see if she can be found anywhere, and say, look, she's literally just gone through security a few minutes ago. After about 20 minutes, I managed to get through to my girlfriend, who's paid the $10 or whatever, so I can make a call. And I say, look, you should probably go back and get the phone. She's like, oh, I'm just going to forget. I'm like, it's going to cause us so much headache if we do not go back and get that phone. Because also to add, obviously she has to self-isolate for all this time, and she is the only one who can pick up that phone. I can't go and collect it on her behalf.
Right.
So I'm like, if we don't go and pick up this phone is gone. All of that money is just down the drink. We should go back and get this. So luckily, she's able to turn back and be let back in. And now comes the game of texting between 2 people, trying to get them to meet up at a place that I'm not 100% familiar with. I'm trying to like find watermarks. They have a few close encounters. But after about an hour, we finally managed to reunite the person and my girlfriend and the phone. And then she's finally able to travel down, and we're good. And we're good. And then we get to meet, and it's lovely, and we spent a month together, and it was wonderful. It was truly wonderful.
That's nice. And where does she live? You said the US?
Yeah, she lives in Georgia.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Then came the issue of going back.
Of course.
Of course, no. The flight back just didn't go smoothly, or the preamble to the flight back, let's say, didn't go smoothly. So about a week before, she gets an email, and her flight's been moved forward a day again.
Okay.
And bear in mind, this is the first time I've ever heard of a flight being changing day with that short notice at all, let alone it happening twice. Just like this would happen twice. But it's okay. It gives us an extra day. It's not too bad. So the flight's gone from a Monday flight to a Tuesday flight. And obviously COVID is still a thing. So she needs a negative test before traveling. So we ordered the test we got. So you do your test, you send it off. They check it, and then you get a negative result, and then you can fly hunky-dory, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think the more astute listeners of you can already see where this is going to go. So we look on the website. Oh, no. The preamble to where we found this place, we were going on the train somewhere because we hadn't booked the test for the flight back. And we both saw an advert for Fit to Fly, which is the thing that lets you fly. And we both sort of looked at each other like, we should have a look at that when we get home. So we book it, and it's great. We look on the website, they say, take your test 3 days, or take your test and send it 3 days before your flight. So we're like, okay, we'll follow that. We don't want to do it too early and find out that the results are invalid. So we're going to do it 3 days. That's fine. So we take the test on the Friday or the Saturday, and we dutifully send it off, and we wait very, very patiently for the results. Saturday goes by, no results. Sunday goes by, no results. Her flight is on Tuesday morning. We wake up Monday morning. There is still no results. The test still says pending. So we call to see what's going on. And after about half an hour, we finally get through to someone. And they can, and we say, okay, what's going on? Our flight is tomorrow. We've not received the test. You've said send thing 3 days before, and we've not gotten anything. And I say, yep, no, we can confirm we haven't received it. Yeah, we've been having a lot of issues with Royal Mail, which is the mail company we send it with. Right. We've been having a lot of issues with the Royal Mail and tests not being delivered on time on weekends. It's like, all right, thanks, mate. Thanks for letting me know that, because that's really helpful to know with the test in transit now being delayed, you know? Mm-hmm. That's really, if you'd had have told me, you could have said, look, there's issues, do it a few days before and send it off. But you've told me now, after having paid you over £100, like over $100 something for this wonderful test, you have now told me, oh yeah, no, there's been some problems. It's like, thanks. So now we are, and then the person says, well, what you can do is, if you want, you can book a test and you can come do it in person. I'm pretty sure they wanted me to pay for it for a start. And I said, okay, where are you based? Bearing in mind we're in London. They said Cambridge. And Cambridge is about a 2-hour trip to there. And I'm like, are you joking? You want me to take a 4-hour round trip a day before we're supposed to fly? They say, oh, no, it's not that far. It's not that far. It's like, mate, it's 4 hours round trip. For those of you in the US, you might think, oh, that's nothing. In the UK, we call that traveling from one part of the country to the other, you know? Mm-hmm. So we're like, great. So they said, oh, yeah, we'll let you know as soon as the test arrives. Like, okay, thanks. So now we have a test which may not come back in time. We have to make the decision, do we risk it? And the fact that she has to shell out another grand or something for the flight back, or do we just like cough up the money and do a same day test? So we decide we go for the same day test. So this probably we had such little time, because at this point it was about noon. We found out that the tests probably go until about 2 p.m. So we had about 2 hours to go and do the test, find up somewhere, book the test, go and actually take the test in person, in order for us to get a chance to have a negative test on that evening. So we shell out over $200 for a test which comes back within 5 hours. We travel, we get there within about an hour of having gotten off the phone with the last people. We do the test. It comes back negative. It's fine. And she's able to fly. But oh my God, it wouldn't have ended fine, because yeah. it turned out like late, about 7 p.m. that evening, the test results for the first place finally came back, and of course it was negative. But it's like, yeah, if we had have waited for that to come through, like if there was any kind of issue, it would have just been game over, you know.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
So yeah, the travel issues don't just affect me; they affect everyone around me as well.
Affects literally everyone in your stratosphere.
Yeah. So if you have any travel issues, CJ, when going to AGDQ, and I'm very, very sorry. Oh, dearie me.
Oh, wow. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up. Another great you got two this time, Etem travel stories. And if you ever come back on a third time, hopefully some more. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But for the sake of
hopefully no travel stories, but if there are, I'll be sure to bring them with me.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today, Etem. It's always a pleasure whenever we get a chance to talk.
Yeah, no, it's always lovely to spend an hour and a half chin wagging with you. I don't know if that's the phrase over there.
Hey, listen, with context clues, I was able to figure it out.
Yeah.
You can find Grandpa Etem on Twitter. That is twitter.com/Etem, ETEM is in Michael _T, at EtemT_T on Twitter. You can find all of his many speedruns dating back to when they speedrun on tablet and chisel.
Yeah.
That is speedrun.com/user/Etem. That is ETEM again. Find all of his streams, which he has been streaming again, surprisingly.
Hey,
with your beard. Your last stream was 21 days ago. Okay, maybe you're not.
Yeah, there's been some things that are going on, but I'm eager to get back into it this week.
Yeah, I like the black and white. It's a good motif.
I only did it because my webcam kind of sucks in like dim light. So I was like, you know what? Why not just make it black and white? It will be like something to talk about.
That is twitch.tv/Etem. You should have just let it be a mood thing. You shouldn't have made it that your camera sucks.
Yeah, just be playing smooth jazz.
Yeah. And lastly, you can find all of the videos that he makes, including Fable Oddities, which are really interesting, and I do check them out. I recommend you do as well. That is youtube.com/C/Etem_T, ETEM_T. So I think I plugged you in all the right places. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Thank you to everybody for listening. If you like the show, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, because that is the best way to keep us free and clear of influence of the algorithm. We can keep having the people on that you want to listen to and we want to talk to. So thank you again for being on the show, Etem. It's always a pleasure. I enjoyed our chin wagging time, and I will see you all next week with another great guest.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good one.